Hello. I'm so happy to be back. This is the second episode of The Humanitarian Millionaires. I received an email from podcast providers that Serbia is where my podcast has been number one in the entrepreneurship category, and I'm so grateful for that. Today, I want to talk about creating 100K a month type of results and what is required to do that. Probably most of humanitarians that I coach, we are used to making that type of money within a year, maybe more, maybe for some it's less. Now, I would like to challenge everyone who's wanting to go for ambitious outcomes to do that within a month. And the main thing that is required for doing that, that I'm working on, is 100% self ownership. And I will explain in this episode what that is, why we don't do it, and how we can do that, right? So, first, let me talk about the opposite of self ownership, right? Usually, most people, when we want something, let's say we want financial freedom, maybe we want emotional freedom, maybe we want physical freedom, meaning we want to be living wherever we want to do whatever we want to have whatever the amount of money we want to. We have these desires, and then we don't own those desires. And what that means is we don't actually get serious and committed to actually making those desires happen. And the reason why we do that is because we believe that we cannot do that. So, in other words, we're not owning our own capabilities, meaning we're not exploring how capable we actually could to make that happen. We also use our external circumstances as reasons why we cannot make that happen. So, we say the market is bad. We say everyone is getting laid off. We say the news showing that here is the war, here is the instability, here is the uncertainty. And then we use that as a reason not to go for that dream. So, in that scenario, we're not owning our identity of who we actually are, who can be so powerful that we don't need to let that circumstances dictate what we can and cannot do. So, whenever we have the identity as a very strong point and the circumstances as a very strong point, oftentimes we end up listening to the circumstances and limitations rather than listening to the identity, right? And we come up with all of these reasons, and maybe we come up with reasons within our own self and limitations, right? We say, I am not that intelligent. I'm not that smart. I'm not this. I'm not that. I'm not good at selling. I'm not good at networking. I'm not good at this. And therefore, we don't again own our solutions to those problems. We just keep naming those problems as reasons why we can't create the outcome we want to. In the 100% self ownership model, though, we are owning all of it. So we're owning not only how we are capable of doing it and exploring ways how that is true, we're also owning our dream of this is the dream that I want to make it happen. I want to experience in this life, and therefore owning that dream and then owning what our thought processes, what our belief systems, what our assumptions are getting in the way, and also owning how we're capable of solving them. So when we are acting from 100% self ownership, then we're no longer saying, oh, I have all of these thoughts, I have all of these reasons, I have all of these arguments as to how it won't work. We're also owning that, okay, if we keep saying these are the arguments why we can't get to the outcome, do we want to leave it at that, or are we willing to solve them? And if we're willing to solve them, then how are we doing that? right? So not only owning the dream of this is the dream that I would like to, this is the freedom that I would like to, but also owning that here are my brain's arguments as to how my brain says that I can't do it. And here is me owning my own solutions and saying, here's how I'm going to solve for it. This is the self ownership 100%. So we can even go into a granular details, and I'm going to walk you through how I'm doing it in my own life of creating that 100K a month worth of value. So I am deciding to own my identity that gets me to that outcome. And the way that I'm doing it is I'm looking at, okay, what kind of identity I want to embody that makes the 100K a month not a problem. In other words, how do I need to see myself? How do I need to feel about myself that allows me to be in the energy of, in the emotional state of, I'm capable of doing this outcome? So that's the identity part that I'm owning, right? So I'm not sitting here and saying, oh, I'm not this person. I've never done this. I couldn't. Who am I? Those are the identities I'm not embodying. I'm exploring intentionally what identity I want to be in, and from that identity, how I make this 100K a month not a problem to do. So I'm fully owning my identity of whatever the identity that I don't want to be embodied. So I'm leaving it aside. And then whatever the identity I want to embody and how I want to see myself and feel, that's the part that I'm functioning from. That's the first ownership. Then the second part of this ownership, full 100% ownership, is my thought process, my assumptions, my belief system, all of those thoughts that are governing me, right? Now, I may not be able to own where they're coming from because a lot of them are unconscious, and that's fine. But I am able to do something with them as they come to the surface. So I will give you an example of how I have owned that fully when this happened. So this week actually, this week I was working through some of the results that I wanted to create. And then I noticed that my main two thoughts that were blocking my energy, right? My energy meaning that I was getting into this defeated or into this, I don't really know, I don't want to kind of energy. And I don't like that. So I started exploring what those thought processes that were creating that energy. And I realized that it was two thoughts that were very powerful. One was, it won't happen anyway, so therefore, why bother doing it, right? And the other one was, I don't feel like it. And as soon as I coach myself on it and solved it on my own, and of course, I have learned how to coach myself for a long time. So if you are new to this, it might be something that you start learning with yourself as well, or you get coaching on this. So the way that I do that is I start looking at, okay, why am I thinking this? Why am I even using it against myself? What is really behind it? What's going on? And start really dissecting those thought processes. And I also look at how they are impacting my energy, how they're impacting my actions, and how they're impacting my results. So the way that it won't work anyway was making me show up in the shallow way, in the non-committal way. And then the result is obviously not the way I want to, right? I don't feel like it thought was making me show up in the way that I don't do the things in the moment as I said I would do. And therefore, I end up not actually finding out what would work, what would actually make this result happen. And then I just stay in the, oh, just see, it won't work anyway. I knew this. I'm not cut out for it. And then I just confirm my own biases of how I'm not capable, right? And this is, I think, what happens most of the time to most people. So that's why in the self-ownership scheme, what I'm doing is I'm owning that this is what's creating obstacles. I'm owning this is how I can solve it. And I'm owning also looking at how it has been solved and how I keep keep going towards what I want to. The self-ownership also applies to emotions. Now, again, as I said, emotions of how we feel every day may not dependent on us usually, which is fine. But what do we do with it is the part that we can own. Right? So, whatever the emotion is in the moment, instead of just like, oh, I feel so bad and I can't do anything and I was not cut for it and all of this, and just keep again confirming the identity of how we're not capable of. Instead, sitting with, okay, this is the emotion that I'm feeling. It's absolutely fine. There's no problem. I'm not afraid of it. And then feeling through those emotions and then going to pursuing the thing that we want to and not make it mean something gone wrong. The self-ownership also comes to the action part, right? So what kind of actions we're taking, what kind of actions we're not taking, and why. And then being cognizant of whatever the action that we're not taking, but we know we should, we are probably risking not creating that result, right? So therefore, owning that action part instead of I just can't do anything with it. I'm so uncomfortable. I don't feel like it. This is not going to work anyway, or whatever it is that we keep then sabotaging ourselves and therefore not taking that action. And the self-ownership comes obviously to the result line. So instead of saying, I have no control over my results, in this case, we are fully 100% taking ownership over our results. It doesn't mean that it may happen in that month, in that moment, in that period, which is fine, but we're learning the skill of how to do that. We're learning the skill of what is standing in our way and how we keep solving it while we create the value that we want to in the world that creates the result that we want, right? So my idea is that I want the millions to be something very skill related and nothing that is mystical. Because I think as long as we keep it mystical and keep it like only a few can master it, or only the few intelligent people, or few whoever can master it, or people who are willing to do illegal things and I'm not willing to do illegal things, if we keep using that, then we will never explore and understand and find out how we are actually all capable of doing it. So what if we're all capable of doing it and we never explored it? And that's why the 100% self-ownership comes in to really look at, okay, are we really owning our identity of who is the person who gets to that result? If we're not owning it, why? Right? If we're not really looking at our identity of current identity of who we're being versus the identity that will get to the result and experience that outcome that we want to, then what are we going to do about it? The same goes for thought processes and the assumptions that we have. Are we really owning those assumptions and thought processes and deciding what to do with them? Or we're just saying, oh, they just are there and I have no control over them. And the same goes for the emotional state, right? Are we really doing something with those emotions, or we're just using them as a reason why we can't get to what we want to, and then feeling bad about ourselves, and then feeling powerless about it, and then not doing anything? And the actions as well, and the results. Are we really looking at how we are actually in charge of those results and we can create those results because we're that powerful of humans? Or we're using all of the excuses around us, all of the circumstances, whatever limitations that we can come up as a reason why we're not going for it? And if we're doing that, then why? So in my journey, I have realized that in order for me to create 100K a month worth of value in the world, then I need to start looking at how I can own my identity, how I can own my thinking process, my assumptions, my emotions, and my action line, and whatever the actions that I don't want to take. And then all of that then creates the results. And the only reason why I wouldn't go for it is because I am using other circumstances, other people's experiences, other people's judgments, maybe my own judgment, as the reason that would limit me to create the result that I want. And that is a protective mechanism that many of us may not understand or may not even recognize, which is absolutely fine. But know that if you are not experiencing the result that you want to, because you are using whatever limitations as a reason, as an excuse as to why not go for it. And I just want everyone to be honest with themselves and say, is that a good reason? And are you aware that's the reason why you are not experiencing the life that you want to? And maybe for some people, yes, it is, and that's fine, but it is not because you are not capable of. And I think that's the powerful realization for many people to have, is that we are not experiencing the life, the results that we want to, not because we're not capable, but because we're choosing not to solve those problems that come in the way, or we believe that we cannot, or we believe we don't know how to solve it. So that's why if you are wanting to do this powerful way of experiencing your own identity, powerful way of going for results that you would like to, powerful way of creating outcomes that excites you, that fulfills you, that makes you feel the most free human as possible, then you know that you have all the capabilities possible to do that within yourself. Excuse me. The next step is owning all of it. Owning all the shitty parts, owning all the, excuse me, all the difficult parts, but also owning that you are capable of solving them. And one of the ways to solve them is to recognize that whatever the identity that you are in, if that identity is not creating the outcomes that you would like to, then explore what identity that you like within yourself, within your body, that gets you to that outcome. And then that identity, what identity really means is how you see and feel yourself, right? And once you see and feel yourself this way, whatever the identity that you like to be in, then what type of thoughts and belief systems that you need to have about yourself to be then having the energy you want to, and the actions that you take, and then the results that you create. So I would like for everyone who is going for this is to do this together, where we start looking at our lives in terms of full ownership, in terms of 100% self ownership of, this is who I am, this is what I'm capable of, this is how I'm going to get to it. This is what are the things I'm going to do. These are the things I will not be doing. And these are the ways that I will be solving problems to get to that. Because that's the only way that we can stop that dependency. Dependency on the system, dependency on others, dependency on the market, dependency on whoever. Because if we keep staying in the, oh, I can't do it because of the UN, I can't do it because of the market, I can't do it because of this, then that's how our lives will continue being. We will continue being dependent on them, and we will continue feeling like we cannot experience the life that we want to, and then ignoring all of the power that lies within us as humans to actually explore our capabilities. And I would love to invite everyone to experience how powerful of a human you are, that maybe 100K a month becomes a piece of cake at some point. And what if you've always been that capable, but you never found out about it? So if you're ready to do this with me, then you can absolutely come coach with me, and also join the Journey membership, where you will be doing these exercises on your own and starting to see results that you would like to have. Have a beautiful week. I'll talk to you soon.